Hello, everyone. My name is Tiffany Harrison, and welcome to our local leader panel. As part of today's focus on the importance of cultural connections, we are thrilled to have 4 of our incredible local leaders from destinations around the world join us today at AdventureFest to share some of their thoughts and insights. Local leaders are a huge part of what makes Club Adventures trips so special, and I'm thrilled to welcome Shayna, Fernando, Sylvia, and Abdella. Hello to each of you, and thank you for being here with us.
Hello.
So to get us, hello to each of you. So to get us started with today's panel, I'd love if you could each give an introduction about yourself, including what destination or region you're based in or have experience leading tours in. So Shayna, let's pass it over to you.
Sure. So my name is Shayna. I'm originally from Toronto in Canada. I've led tours in Canada and tours that actually cross the border into the US as well. And I started leading just over 9 years ago.
Wonderful. Fernando, welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Fernando, and I actually based in Peru. I'm originally from southern Peru. I studied tourism, and I always been passionate about that. I started as a guide in 2004, so I have a kind of long experience on this.
Fantastic. And Sylvia, welcome.
Welcome. Hello, I am Sylvia. I am from Greece. I'm born and raised in Greece. And I'm a tour leader since 2015 and for Club Adventures since 2019.
Wonderful. And last but certainly not least, Abdella.
Hello everybody. My name is Abdullah. I'm from Morocco, and I've been a leader since 2004, and it's really a great time to share with everybody that come and visit Morocco.
Fantastic. Thank you all for being here. As you can see, we've got people from around the world joining us, so we're excited to jump right in. So with that, let's talk about the future. We've all experienced a massive pause this past year, but bookings for international adventures are coming in, which is very exciting to see. I think we could all agree. So given that development, we'd love to know what you're most looking forward to about getting back on the road. So Sylvia, jumping over to you in Greece, we'd love to start with you on this one.
Well, I'm looking forward to start leading again tours because last year, as you know, it was a very difficult year. We didn't have any tours from US, but this year I'm looking forward because for me, it's like traveling with my friends. So I cannot wait for that.
Couldn't agree more. Abdullah, how about you?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, to go back to the roads, and it's almost like a year and a half without any tourists here in Morocco. So it's really great again to go back and again take people, show them my country, and take them to the really nice and beautiful places. Also, it has been like a year and a half. It has been really difficult for, personally, for the leaders, as you know, it's our only job. So it's going to be like exciting, to be honest. It's going to be really exciting. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Shayna, anything you might add there?
Very similar. For me, it's the people. What I look forward to is meeting all the travelers and the amazing people that do travel on adventure tours. Also really excited to teach people how to eat bacon with maple syrup on it. Really important when you come to Canada, and I'm going to show them how good it tastes. So
that sounds amazing. And Fernando, how about you?
I think it's pretty similar to everyone. I feel when we're traveling, we're working, but at the same time, we are connecting with people. I feel that what I'm really missing is getting to know people, but also reconnecting with the friends that we haven't seen for a year and a half. So I really want to look for those friends that I haven't seen for a long time.
Agreed. I think reconnecting is a big one, and I couldn't agree more with each of you. So I think it's definitely got me excited to get back out on the road, and I'm sure it does for our agents tuning in today as well. So that leads me to my next question, because as we always say at Club Adventures, our local leaders are the secret to the true magic that happens while on tour. So I'd love if you guys could give one of your own favorite magic moments that happens in a small group adventure. And Fernando, I'd love for you to get us started with this one.
Yeah, I think with my groups, one of the things that I love is when simple things become magic, and we have this experience in Lake Titicaca where we kind of, to bond with the local families, we go to play soccer, but the soccer match lasts 3 minutes because it's at 4,000 meters above sea level. So then people just sit and rest and look at the horizon, and the fact that people is not focusing on taking pictures of a site or paying attention to explanations, just there, surrounded by a huge lake and people with simple lives and reflecting about their experience, no other than enjoying the time. I think that's pure magic. I always do that with my groups, and I feel it's what makes the real experience. And you can only share with a small group. If it's a group of 40, I don't know how magic it could be, but with small groups, it's fantastic.
Agreed. Shayna, how about you?
Yeah, just to Fernando, what he was just talking about, I did that when I was at Lake Titicaca, and it's one of the things I remember in my multiple years of travel. So he's completely right. I thought of a more specific example. So I'm from Toronto, and my entire family lives here. So during my 3rd season of tour leading, it's wonderful when your family lives here. We actually hosted my groups I brought to Toronto. My parents just had a big barbecue for them. I had family, friends, cousins, grandparents, everyone meet, my group of 10 or 12 people that came to my house. But my favorite memory in particular is those special moments that you get that you can only get with local leaders and local guides. My grandfather gave everyone in the group a toonie coin, which is a $2 coin here in Canada. And the coin has a gold center and silver on the outside. And he said that the outside silver ring represented friendship and the inside gold represented love. And he was giving a piece of his love and friendship to everyone in the group. This was 6 years ago, and this group still sends me photos of the toonie coin that they still have and that memory of it. So for me, those kind of moments, and that was just one that stood out for me, are quite special that you get with local leaders.
Yeah, I could not agree more. That sounds incredible. Abdallah, would love to get your thoughts around this as well.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, it's a little bit difficult to choose. I mean, a magic, but I mean, a moment that I've shared with my guests. But there are many anyway. So best one that I really always, still remember is take people to do a local and weekly market. I think in some countries they don't have this weekly market, but in Morocco we still have this kind of market that happens once a week, and you take people and you share with them the thing that's happening is that in that market, visiting all the sections. Where people sell things like fruits, vegetables, meat, even cattle, like live cattle and sheep. So it's really and also see like a section in this kind of local market. You find all these kind of different things that really put alive, that people need to survive. You find all these kind of sections, and it's amazing that people actually go and watch this kind of life. Look into the people doing their own, bargaining and doing their own thing. So it's amazing. And before I go to take people, I always tell them a story about that. Tell them like my experience when I was a child. I go with my father when I was a child. I go with my father, go to the local market, and especially my first time that I went to the local market. It was like amazing. When you tell the people this kind of experience, and they feel it, and when they go, they feel it. They see also children coming, visiting, people from different places. Nomads, people that they live in villages. So see all this kind of life happening. So it's really amazing. Yeah.
Life happening. I think that's the phrase. We're all very excited about getting back to really experiencing in new places to us again. So Sylvia, anything that you might add to that as far as a magic moment?
Well, the magic moments are too many. I will never forget my first group of Club Adventure in Greece. It was an amazing group. So that group, I suggest them to do a very nice small hike in a lighthouse during the sunset. So it was only half an hour. It was an easy hike. And we visited a small lighthouse in a small island in the Aegean Sea. And everybody was so, it was so fantastic. And we had so nice photos. And at the end, I had a bottle of wine, and we shared a bottle of wine. And it was like, as I told you, traveling with friends and share a bottle of wine and appreciate the moment of the sunset. That was my magic moment.
That's beautiful. I think it's all those little moments that turn into those incredible memories that travelers take home. So speaking of travel magic, we know that oftentimes people have a favorite part of a destination that they actually didn't expect when they book the trip. A bit of travel unscripted, as we like to refer to it. So what would you say that travelers often tell you surprised them the most about your destination? Abdullah, knowing how popular Morocco is with our travelers, would love if you could jump into this one first.
Yes, definitely the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert, it is one of the favorite place that people like, and also surprised people, especially the thing that we do there in the Sahara, and also especially riding a camel and crossing the dunes slowly with the nomad pace to get to the tents. And people, I mean, they really feel like they have, I mean, like freedom there, and quiet, and unbelievable. It's far from all the civilization, and they feel like incredible, especially when they see sunset there, and also when they see sunrise there, and also, I mean, having a dinner around the fire and listening to some local music from local people, from the local people that have like a nomad background, and also telling them stories about, I mean, the history of the nomads, telling them some, I mean, getting them like sharing things with those people, especially those people that prepare food for us, and they are laden camels, and so it's really, I mean, interesting part that we have in our trip, I mean, the Sahara Desert.
No, you paint a beautiful picture of that. It sounds incredible. Shayna, I'm curious from your perspective, obviously being maybe a little closer to home, I'm sure there's still some surprises that come along.
Yeah, I think most travelers are aware of how big Canada is, but really didn't realize the expansiveness, the beauty, and really that majority of the country is really untouched. Even the parts that we take the travelers to. So like for example, one of the most visited national parks in Banff, so Banff is one of the most visited in Canada. We actually have bridges that are built across the highways that, to drive through the parks. And those bridges are only for the wildlife so that they can cross over the highway safely. And people are not allowed on these bridges. It is purely for the wildlife because, you're talking bears and elk and moose. So that these are quite large animals. So it's pretty shocking to most travelers. As they know, we have a ton of wildlife and, a lot of expansive land, but they really got a better understanding of how we treat our wildlife and how we treat our land as well.
That's incredible. I've seen pictures of that, but to be able to see it in person would be amazing. Sylvia, how about from a Greek perspective or traveling through Greece?
Well, what surprised most my travelers is the landscape, because everybody believes that Greece is flat, only the sea and the sun and the flat seaside. But our landscape, although we are a small country, we have a lot of mountains. It's full of mountains. So when we go even into small islands, we have to go up and down. Like we do like 500 meters up, 500 meters down. So the landscape, it's amazing. So everybody's surprised. They cannot believe that Greece has mountains. Yes, we have mountains, we have rivers, We have lakes. We will not have only the sea and the Aegean Sea. So the most people are surprised from that. They cannot believe that.
That sounds amazing. I mean, such diverse amount of places to travel to, and something for every traveler, it sounds like, as well. Fernando, tell us a little bit about Peru and maybe something people don't expect there.
I think that when people decide to come to Peru, they think about Machu Picchu, Lake Titicaca, the Amazon. Those are like powerhouse destination names. But if I have to mention one place that really surprises travelers is when they come is actually my hometown, Arequipa. This is a town that it's in the south of Peru, and it's always looks like a breaking point for a long journey to come from the coast up to the highlands. But it's actually a really lovely town that is surrounded by volcanoes. One of them is actually active, and the architecture of the city is beautiful, and the food is fantastic. It's something we are known in Peru like the Peruvian Quebecois, because we are really proud of our cities. So when people tell me that they love my hometown, it's one of the happiest moments. And I think really it's a destination that people doesn't really know much, but it's extremely charming to visit.
That sounds beautiful. And I think it further underscores why local leaders like yourselves are so important, because these are some of the things that maybe you wouldn't know about before you get there, and you're learning about it from you guys. So thank you so much for sharing those stories. That actually brings me to my next question. So as we've learned a lot today about the importance of culture and knowing how integral our local leaders are to unlocking the culture of a new place, we would love if you could offer a piece of cultural advice that travelers should maybe know or would be good to know before visiting your destination. So Sylvia, if you could kick us off with that one.
The Greeks, we love the coffee a lot. Not only the Greek coffee, but we drink coffee all the time around. So when we say we go out for coffee, we don't mean also we go for coffee. We go to, in every cafe they also serve alcohol. For example, the Greeks, although the espresso it's invented from the Italians, the Greeks invent the Freddo cappuccino, which is very popular. So everybody, when it comes in Greece, I suggest them to try this cold coffee. It's coffee, espresso, with cold milk. So that's a surprise a lot of people.
I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone, but I think we could all use a round of one of those. That looks delicious. Shayna, hopping over to you, what is something travelers should know about traveling to Canada or anywhere in North America, I guess?
I know this is going to sound a little odd, but tipping. I know most of the agents listening are Americans, so you absolutely understand the culture of tipping. But anyone from outside of North America generally doesn't, or at least how much we tip in Canada and in the US. Actually something that, in every single meeting, like every single first meeting with a group, I have to clearly outline very specific scenarios that travelers could be in with regards to tipping. And it easily is the question I get asked about the most, in any scenario. Okay, so how much should I tip? Tipping is part of our culture over here in North America, but it is not a majority of the rest of the world. So if you have clients that are not from Canada or the US, definitely something to make them aware of.
That's a great tip. I think something, when you're thinking about our neighbors to the north, maybe you're not thinking about. So it's really good to know. Abdullah, hopping over to you. What is something that you could share with us?
Yes, I'm going to add something. I mean, tipping is very important. Come to Morocco is, really good to know that there are some interesting day, like Friday. And also especially when you come to Morocco on the holy month of Ramadan, when people, Muslim preserve the fasting or preserve Ramadan. So people should know that, in this, especially this, time, now, activities are very slow. People are a little bit, tired, especially during the day. When you go, for example, to the market, you find people a little bit, less activities, less, little bit people lazy with Ramadan. You know that when you preserve Ramadan, you have less energy. Another thing, especially Friday, that comes, once a week, that also when you go to visit, when you promise people to visit a city, like what we call here Medina, which is old city, almost you find, again, most of the shops are closed. Most of the interesting places that you can see and you visit are closed. So I think those things, are really good. To let people know about that. And also, as a tour leader, we always set the expectations in the group meeting for those kind of things. But it's really good for people to know that before they come here.
Agreed. I think that's something our agents really lean into, is how important those initial meetings are, just to make sure expectations, as you mentioned, are set. So thank you for sharing that. And Fernando, as far as Peru goes, what might be a tip that you would share there?
I think there are a lot of things, but something that people should know in advance before coming to Peru is that we are crazy passionate about fireworks. And especially the Andes, we say that we have more religious celebrations than days in the year. So every day you are going to be waking up or going to bed with the sound of fireworks, and happens all the time. So people often ask me, what is that? Why is that? What's happening in Peru? But the truth is that it's fireworks because we are celebrating something. So this people need to know that Peru is a lot into celebration, which are excuses sometimes.
No, that's good to know. I would have had no idea. That's really fascinating. Well, thank you all for those stories. That's really helpful advice. I think it just goes to show that, again, leaning into that local knowledge can really enhance the trips that our members are traveling on, and helping our agents to tell those stories. So because we're running a little short on time, I think we could spend all day talking about these things. Let's go ahead and jump into our last question and make it even more fun. This one actually comes from one of our AAA agents when we were asking, what are some of the hot button questions that we'd love to ask you guys? So specifically, because we're all about supporting local, we'd love to know, and I know this might be hard to pick just one, what locally made souvenir you might suggest people buy when visiting your destination or region. And Shayna, let's go ahead and start with you.
I would probably say maple syrup, actually 100% maple syrup. I get the pure maple syrup from any boutique or shop. If syrup isn't for you, honestly, anything maple flavored will work too. I'm just all about food, so anything that you can bring home for friends and family to try is always a win for me.
I feel like I'm going to need that to go on the bacon that you mentioned, and then the coffee from Greece. Like, there's a whole foodie thing happening here. Sylvia, speaking of coffee, what about a souvenir from Greece?
Well, Greece, we produce one of the best extra virgin olive oil in the world. So yes, I would suggest to bring some extra virgin olive oil in a tin can so they can easily transfer back home.
That sounds delicious. Fernando, how about anything from Peru or something Peruvian?
I think there are very iconic and typical things to bring from Peru, but something that I always recommend my customers my travelers and to buy is actually these bowls. These bowls are original from the Andes of Peru, and in the life of a person here in Peru, there are iconic moments like when you get married, when you have your first baby. But one of the most important moments is when you actually finish the roof of your house and you put this on the top, because that means prosperity. So if it's kind of bringing prosperity into your own life. So those bowls are everywhere in Peru, and you should buy one of them.
What a beautiful concept. I love that. And Odella from Morocco.
We have a lot of things to take back from Morocco. So I think argan oil, which is like Morocco. It's just Morocco that produce argan oil. I think that's something that really people, like to take back. And also we have other things like rags, spices, all these kind of small things that people can take back. So it's amazing. So you can support local families, local cooperative. So
yes, and I think that really what we like to lean into is supporting local as much as possible. And I think all the examples you gave as well are things that are easy to get home. So fantastic choices. Well, unfortunately, that is all we have time for today's panel. Thank each of you for joining us today. I think I speak for all of us at Club Adventures when we say that, without these stories, without these tips, it just wouldn't be possible to do what we do. So thank you all for joining us. And to each of you watching today on today's panel, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the rest of day 3 of AdventureFest.